No one remembers who pitched it first. Some say it appeared after the first storm. Others claim it had always been there, tattered, beige, and alone, standing crooked on the edge of a dry ravine in the middle of nowhere. No tracks, no ropes, no signs of anyone around it. Just the tent. 3 friends, Kareem, Jalal, and Sami, were on a road trip through the desert, heading south with no plans, just heat, music, and the thrill of sleeping under the stars. On their 3rd night, after hours of driving in silence, they noticed the tent, lit from within by a faint, flickering glow. "It's probably abandoned," said Jalal. "Or someone needs help," offered Kareem. They parked, no cars nearby, no footsteps in the sand, nothing but the warm desert breeze. When they approached, the glow inside dimmed, like someone had turned away. Sami bent down and opened the flap. It was empty. No lantern, no bedrolls, no bags. Just an old, wrinkled rug and a faint scent of burnt sage, the kind used in blessings or in rituals. Kareem laughed and stepped inside first. "It's just a tent, man. Don't be weird." Jalal followed. Sami hesitated, but the desert wind behind him pushed the flap open wider, as if inviting him. He stepped in. Inside, the air felt different. Heavy, like it hadn't been breathed in years. The world outside seemed to hush. They sat on the rug, not speaking much. Minutes passed, then an hour, then 2. "We should go," Sami said suddenly. But when they opened the flap, it was still night, still the same. Yet their watches all showed different times. Kareem's had stopped. Jalal's was running backward. Sami's just blinked 0:12. "Weird glitch," Jalal muttered. They stepped outside, but it wasn't the desert they remembered. The stars had shifted. The car was gone. The road had vanished. Only more tents surrounded them now. Hundreds, all identical. Some open, some closed, some whispering. "We're dreaming," said Kareem, but none of them could wake up. They tried walking. Every direction led them back to the same place, back to the tent, their tent, the one they had entered. "We'll just stay inside until sunrise," Jalal said. They crawled back in, but there was no sunrise. Each time they stepped out, the world was stranger. Sami once saw someone in the next tent, a girl, long hair, facing the corner. When he called out to her, she turned, but had no face, just cloth, stitched shut. She started walking toward him. He hasn't left the tent since. Jalal says he hears someone calling his name at night from outside, a voice like his mother's, only slower, wetter, like it came from underwater. He stopped responding. Kareem hasn't spoken in 3 days, just sits, tracing circles into the rug. Sometimes his shadow moves a second after he does. They don't know how long they've been there. Time doesn't work right. They're tired, hungry, but they can't die, not yet, not here. And the tent, it won't let them. Some say if you camp too close to the old ravine, you'll see that same crooked tent. It'll look empty, it'll feel safe. But once you step inside, you won't come out. Not really. They stopped trying to leave. It was Jalal who first forgot his last name, then his sister's face, then what his own voice sounded like. Kareem no longer blinked. He stared at the tent walls, like he was reading something written beneath the fabric. Sami tried to keep count of the days by scratching lines into the corner of the tent pole. But every morning the scratches were gone. One night, if it was still night, they heard laughter, children's laughter, from inside the tent. But it wasn't them. Jalal pulled open the flap. No one outside, just that shifting maze of identical tents and the thick, unnatural fog that now sat heavy between them. The stars were gone. He turned back in and realized The tent had changed. The rug was gone. The air was cold, and Sammy was missing. Only 2 pairs of shoes remained by the flap. Kareem didn't speak, but he looked at Jalal and pointed upward, slowly, fearfully. The ceiling of the tent was moving, breathing, like skin. Jalal stepped outside, calling Sammy's name, whispering it so the other tents wouldn't hear. The tents listened. He could feel them turn toward him. Something brushed against his ankle. He looked down. A hand, small, childlike, crawling from under one of the tents. He backed away, but dozens more began to reach out from under the flaps, pale arms all grasping silently, blindly. One of them was holding a scratched watch. Sammy's. Jalal ran, or tried to. Every step he took led him back to their tent, except now there were 3 pairs of shoes again. He looked inside. Sammy was sitting calmly, quiet, smiling, but his eyes were completely black. "You were gone," Jalal whispered. "I was home," Sammy said. "You can come too." Kareem was humming now, something slow, ancient, the kind of sound that vibrated in your bones. The tent walls pulsed with it. Something outside was knocking. Not hard, not loud, but rhythmically, like it knew the code. Jalal turned to flee, but the flap wouldn't open. It melted in his hand. Behind him, Sammy whispered, "It only opens when something new wants to come in. They're still there, or what's left of them." Some say on moonless nights, if you're driving through the dunes and your radio starts picking up static, and a voice says your name, don't stop and never go near the tent. The desert doesn't forget, and the tent doesn't forgive. Jalal doesn't sleep anymore. He tries, he closes his eyes, he pretends, but the tent won't let him. Every time he drifts off, he finds himself inside another tent. Different smells, different light, different voices, but always a tent. Some of them are empty, some have people in them, faces half remembered with mouths sewn shut. Some are filled with water, some are filled with whispering. One was filled with mirrors, all showing Jalal at different ages, all blinking out of sync. He wakes up gasping, clutching the rug, drenched in sweat. But the rug is wet too, as if the tent had been crying. Sami is something else now. He sits calmly, watching Jalal. He eats nothing. He moves only when the tent shifts. He speaks less, but when he does, his words come in echoes, like 2 voices are layered atop each other. Kareem doesn't speak at all anymore. He just scratches at the wall. Symbols, spirals, eyes, teeth. A map, maybe. A trap, maybe. And each morning, the symbols spread wider. Sometimes Jalal sees Kareem sleepwalk at night, but Kareem doesn't walk like a man. He slithers, hands flat, neck twisted, mouth open. Then came the girl. No footsteps, no warning. Just a voice outside the tent. "Can I come in?" Soft, fragile, human. Sammy smiled. "It's her," he said. "She always comes when the tent is almost ready." Jalal stood frozen. Ready for what? But Sammy only hummed, the same tune Kareem had once hummed, the one that made the walls breathe. Outside, the girl spoke again. "I've been waiting. It's my turn, remember?" Jalal moved to the flap, but it wouldn't open. It was flesh again, warm, pulsing. The tent had closed itself, then the walls grew taller. Not wider, taller, like a tower. The ceiling stretched until Jalal couldn't see the top. He felt gravity shift. He wasn't standing anymore. He was suspended, inside something ancient, something hungry, and then silence. For hours, maybe days, no Sammy, no Kareem, no knocking, no voices, just Jalal, alone, until the flap opened. By itself, just a crack, and behind it, the same desert, same ravine, same night sky. He stepped forward, blinking, unsure. Was it real? Was he free? But just before stepping out, he looked back. The tent was full of himself, dozens of versions, sleeping, laughing, weeping, screaming. All Jalal. All trapped. He didn't step out. He closed the flap and sat down. The rug was warm, the tent was humming, and far outside in the dunes, a new traveler's car pulled up. 3 friends, young, loud, curious. One of them pointed. "Hey, look." A tent. 3 new boys. They laughed as they got closer. Their flashlights danced across the sand. The sound of their boots crunching echoed sharp and hollow. Jalal could see them now, through the slit in the flap. They didn't see him. They saw a tent, an empty one. One of them, taller than the others, unzipped the flap and stepped halfway inside. "Smells like old incense," he said. "Creepy, but kind of cool." The second boy, curious, ducked in behind him. The third stayed outside. Jalal sat completely still, in the dark, watching. Then one of the boys touched the rug. That was the mistake. The tent shivered, not shook. Shivered, like skin reacting to a cold breath. And suddenly, everything shifted. Not just the tent, the desert, the stars, the wind, even the sound of the world. Time folded inward. The 3 boys disappeared. And Jalal, he was back at the beginning, in the car, with Kareem and Sammy driving toward the ravine, music playing. The same old song, same heat, same silence, same moment when they first saw the tent in the distance. "Hey, look, a tent." Jalal's heart stopped. He tried to scream, to stop the car, but he wasn't in control. He wasn't even real. He was watching the memory replay, not just his memory, but the tent's. The tent had stored it like a film loop, a trap, a cycle. And now, it wanted to show him what came next. But not his story, someone else's. Now Jalal wakes in a different tent each time. Sometimes he's Kareem, sometimes he's Sami. Sometimes he's the tall new boy who touched the rug. Sometimes he's the girl outside. One night, he woke up as the tent itself, and he could feel people moving inside his skin, breathing, whispering, forgetting. They say there's a ravine deep in the southern desert, with no road leading to it, only silence, and a single crooked tent. Sometimes it calls to travelers, sometimes it waits, and sometimes it becomes them. The tent isn't made of fabric anymore. It's made of memories. Every thread stitched from someone's fear. Every corner soaked in a version of a person who no longer exists. Jalal no longer tries to fight it. He's not sure who he is, or was, or will be. Sometimes he remembers his mother's voice calling him in for dinner. Sometimes he remembers drowning. Sometimes he remembers a desert night that never ends, and a rug that's always warm. And sometimes he remembers nothing at all, which is worse. Tonight the tent is quiet, too quiet. Even the hum beneath the walls has stopped. Kareem is gone, not missing, erased. No scratches on the walls, no humming, no shadow. Just a small patch of smooth, untouched canvas where he used to sit. Sammy still speaks, but his words are now backward, like time flows differently inside his mouth. Jalal tried recording him once. There was a phone in his pocket he didn't remember having. But when he played back the recording, it was a voice calling his name from inside his own chest. He smashed the phone. Then, a new sound. Not from outside, from under the rug. A knock. Soft, rhythmic knock. Pause. Knock, knock. The tent breathed in. "It's time," said Sammy, smiling with teeth too many. The rug lifted on its own. Beneath it was not floor, not sand, not earth. It was another tent, a tunnel of canvas curving downward, lined with flickering symbols that pulsed when Jalal looked at them. He should have screamed, should have run, but he didn't, because he recognized something on the walls, his own handwriting, words he hadn't written yet. They descended, down into the tent beneath the tent beneath the tent. And the deeper they went, the more familiar it felt. Photos nailed into the canvas, childhood drawings, old text messages, pieces of dreams, a broken shoelace, all his. At the bottom, there was a mirror, but it didn't show Jalal. It showed someone outside right now, standing in the desert, flashlight in hand, looking at a tent, about to unzip it. And behind that person, Jalal saw himself, smiling, from inside, and the story looped. They say if you see a tent where there shouldn't be one, don't touch it, don't speak near it, don't even look inside. Because the moment you see your reflection in its flap, it already remembers you. And once it remembers, you belong to it. It's no longer just a tent. It's a place now, a realm, a membrane between what's remembered and what's real. And it's growing. The last traveler wasn't curious. She was chaste, a woman, late 30s, torn backpack. She ran through the desert night, gasping, her shoes soaked with something black and sticky. She didn't see the tent. She fell into it, literally. Her body vanished mid-step and the desert swallowed her whole. The flap didn't even move. Inside, Jalal felt it, a jolt, like a vein had burst inside the canvas. Sammy looked up. It's feeding again. The woman didn't scream. She didn't ask questions. She opened her eyes, saw Jalal, saw Sammy, and whispered, "This isn't the first time." Jalal stared. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer. She walked to the corner of the tent and knelt, pulled something from her bag, a cracked compass, rusted and twitching, and placed it on the floor. It spun wildly, then stopped, pointing down. Beneath the rug, a new hatch appeared. Sammy hissed, "She's opening something that's not supposed to open yet." The woman looked back. Her voice was distant, hollow. "It's already open. You just haven't remembered it." When she lifted the hatch, there wasn't another tent this time. There was a stairway. Stone, wet, breathing. Carved into the walls were names, hundreds of them. Jalal leaned close. He saw his name. He saw Kareem's name. He saw Sami's name. He saw your name. They descended, again. But this time, it felt like they were climbing up, not down. The stairs twisted, the space warped. Jalal felt heavier. Not his body, his memories. They were piling on top of him. Faces, places, moments, fears, smells, sounds, all at once. He dropped to his knees. "I can't carry this." The woman turned. Her eyes were glowing softly. "You were never meant to. You were only meant to forget." At the top of the stairs, they found it. A tent, not made of fabric, not made of memory, made of silence, a place where time doesn't enter. Inside, Kareem sat, alone, still, smiling. "Took you long enough," he said. "The tent has been waiting to tell you its story." And the flap closed. Now the question isn't how to get out, it's how far in you've already gone. The silence inside the final tent wasn't empty, it was alive. Jalal felt it pressing against his skin. His thoughts slowed, words lost meaning, even time itself gave up. Sammy was gone, not vanished, just faded. A memory you can't recall but feel haunted by. The woman stood near the center of the space, arms crossed, staring upward at the roof made of darkness. Jalal whispered, "What is this place?" She didn't look at him when she answered. "It's not a place, it's a pattern, a story that wants to be told through you." Kareem smiled wider. You thought the tent trapped you, but you're the tent now. Jalal staggered back. No. Why do you think it always needs someone new? Kareem asked, voice echoing like wind between tombstones. The tent is told, not built. Every traveler becomes a room in it. Every fear becomes a wall. Every memory becomes a hallway. And every scream, Kareem leaned closer, becomes the flap that opens next. Jalal fell to his knees. But the floor was no longer canvas. It was skin. His. He touched it. It pulsed. He felt footsteps. Someone was walking on him. Outside, in the desert, a child lost from a caravan stumbles near the ravine. She sees a strange tent in the distance, torn, warm-colored, and humming softly. She hears a voice calling from inside. It's okay. It's safe. Come in. She reaches for the flap, and inside, far beneath, Jalal's voice whispers, Please, don't. But her hand is already inside. And the story begins again. Different traveler, same tent, same silence. But somewhere deep inside it all, if you listen closely enough, you'll hear a name. Yours.